Next, we have Mr. Dipendra Banoy, member, Mr. Dipendra Bawni, the member CII National Committee on Design and founder and director Lemon Design. So,
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me, CII and IIT. I'm just going to give you a brief background. I run a company called Lemon Design. We're basically an integrated design services company that operates out of Pune. We also have an office in Delhi. Our strength really lies in being able to holistically address problems through design thinking. We address these problems through work in brands, spaces, interfaces, packaging, products. And we also kind of, so lately what we've also started doing is we've kind of really testing design thinking and whether it really works in the marketplace. So what we've done is we kind of invested into certain design ideas, looked for VC funding, got funding for a couple of projects, and actually we're manufacturing some of these products, so we're actually running some of these ideas. Will you guys hear me? Yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to take you through a bunch of what our structure is, and then I'm going to address it through a couple of case studies of brands that we've worked on. These are largely going to be holistic brands, but before that, I'm actually going to talk about a bit about the process that we follow. I know this is largely a B2B address, for branding, but we kind of realized over the years that B2B is not very different from B2C. It's just that there are certain nuances that we need to take care of, but otherwise, it's essentially brands function the same way. But before that, I'll actually just give you a brief background. This is a structure of our company. Basically, Lemon is a design services company. It's Lemon is basically an IT services company, and Bashman is basically an embedded systems and electronics and VLSI design company. We come together and we actually collaborate in various number of projects that have ranged from designing products and services and brands for startups, right up to the government. We also work with the defense. We've done a lot of projects with the Indian Navy as well. The way we work is very collaborative. We work with a team of experts depending on what kind of expertise we need on a project. Okay, and below you'll find some of our companies actually. Buddies actually, we also won a national award for one of the cheapest readers for the blind. We won the national award for it in the year 2011. So, what I really want to talk about is design as a way of thinking, actually, really a way of life. Okay, and we believe that design largely is about two things. One is the thinking part, and the other is the skills. I know many of you have already heard this before, but I'm just going to quickly run you through our process. Okay, because it is nuanced to a certain extent. Okay, so while we always talk about feasibility, viability, and desirability, I think that's really the bottom line for the future. We really believe that, of course, viability, of course, feasibility, of course, desirability, but what else? So what we really talk about is context. Okay, and context really sets the form and the function of art. Okay, we believe that if you're really thinking about solutions from the point of view that solutions have been approached previously, okay, then you end up creating solutions in the same direction. Okay, we sometimes want to take a radical approach. Okay, how does one take this radical approach? Okay, so I'm going to illustrate through a series of examples now. Okay, so I think one of the primary things to do this is really, I think many people have talked about this before, is empathy. Okay, but empathy is actually a very potent sort of part of the process. If you can just put your ego aside and actually put yourself in the other person's shoes, whoever that other person is, and invariably in any business or in any creation of any brand or product, it's not just one person. There are several stakeholders. There are stakeholders who could be partners, suppliers, any customer is obviously there. But the business itself is a stakeholder, and what they really need actually kind of, if you can really put your shoes in that person's, if you can put yourself in that person's shoes, what you really end up doing is seeing the problem from that person's point of view. Okay, and I think as a designer, we kind of really stress on this whole idea of plasticity of the mind, which means a designer must be able to think in opposite directions. Okay, almost hypocritically to a certain extent, where you're able to contradict yourself on one thing, and then you actually look at the exact opposite thing, and you're actually, so you have to be able to make your for and against arguments in the same time at the same place. Okay, and I think that's what really brings up a lot of ideas on the table. Okay, so for us, the design process is actually quite simple. We always start with empathy. We always, and that doesn't always necessarily mean research. It doesn't always necessarily mean research. It also means about observation. Fundamentally, we believe in one very strong principle that if I'm 40-year-old, I am obviously I have 40 years of experience. So if I have not kept my eyes open and been perceptive to the stimulus that I've got, okay, then how is research really going to help? So I think some of the most intuitive answers really lie in new discovery. Okay, and I think fundamentally at Lennon, that's one of the key parts of our process, that we go to research only when there's a need gap. Okay, of course there's a whole bunch of research that is happening, okay, which we kind of subscribe to, but the idea is not to do research when there's a project going on. Okay, can you first come up with ideas which are based on your past experience? Okay, because what that does is it actually gives you the essence of what the problem is. Okay, and of course, then research is going to answer a whole bunch of questions. You're going to look at certain things from a certain point of view, which become that much more sort of focused. It's going to bring you focus, but it's not necessarily going to give you a new direction if that's what you desire. Okay, which is why we actually take research and intuition very seriously. Okay, and we work on this parallel sort of. We make these processes coexist so that we're able to produce results that are sometimes different in nature. So I'm going to skip on I'm just going to take a series of examples. Okay, the problem of actually unpacking anything that a Jabong or an Amazon would send us. Okay, so of course this is an everyday thing that we all kind of experience at home. Okay, but how come nobody's going to try to solve that problem? The solution is there, but businesses, when they kind of look at the most obvious things that they need to plug, okay, but not really take you through the entire customer journey and actually plug in even the little, because it's sometimes the little things that really make a big difference. So, I mean, simple examples like this, they don't necessarily lie in the same domain. You could actually have a fancy knife and all of that to actually do this, which is bought from the stationery store. But can a product be self-sustained? Can it do everything that you need to do with it on its own? Because what that really does, and that's one of our core philosophies, is how least dependent can we make any product or brand or service on the rest of the ecosystem, because otherwise then it's that way going to load the system less. It's the manufacturing energy that's actually taken out in just making maybe a paper cutter is going to be reduced. Okay, and I think as designers, because everything that we design goes out there, gets manufactured or printed or whatever, we've got to be really responsible about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and most importantly, is it really needed? So I think one thing at Lemon that we always ask ourselves is these three questions. What is the intent of what you're trying to do? Okay? What is the purpose of what you're trying to do? And what is the impact of what you're trying to do? Okay, if we can answer these three questions, okay, and we can kind of produce satisfactory answers for this thing, okay, we believe that the solution is going in the right direction. Okay, but and the intent is actually very simple. We've actually stopped looking at ourselves as designers. Yes, we have the skill sets of a designer, but we've really stopped looking at ourselves as designers. Okay, what we do is, so we're 15 years old now. Okay, and we've slowly realized that clients really need our help. Okay, anyone who comes to us really needs our help. Okay, design thinking, okay, doesn't just always kind of focus you on a new design. So whether it's product design, graphic design, or this or that. Okay, it could even mean a logistics problem. Which needs a design solution. Okay, and it's actually not even making something. It's actually just looking at it from a different point of view and suggesting an alternative idea. So what we really largely have started seeing ourselves as people who help people make a meaningful difference. Okay, and once you kind of boil it down to that, it really applies to brands, it applies to products, it applies to anything. Can I give you another example of this sort of radical thinking? GE has anyone seen the solution? So GD, this is an MRI machine that we make, and they were really struggling with how to get feeds on board on this. Because feeds are not really allowed to move inside an MRI machine. Okay, huh?
This was shown yesterday.
Oh, okay, great. I missed the session yesterday. I just wrote down from Pune. So, but nevertheless, I think it's a brilliant point of view. What they did is the solution was really graphics, and otherwise there was an alternative team working on probably a multi-million-dollar project, which was on the redesign of an MRI machine for kids, whereas the solution really lied in the graphics. Okay, what kind of product graphics you can do. So, what the story, they built several versions of this, which was the Star Wars theme or the pirate theme or this or that. Just introduce children to that storyteller that you need to hide, don't move, so that you can get this thing done and the problem gets solved. Sometimes it doesn't have to cost you money; it just has to be looked at differently. Okay, which is why we very strongly believe in the whole idea of collaboration. Okay, and we believe that designers have to work with multiple, whether it's accountants, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, product engineering, C class executives. You need to work with everyone and understand what their problem is. Okay, because until the team comes together, okay, then there are always specific directions. When you have a strength in a particular area, you try to find solutions from that domain. Okay, but when people come together, what you realize is that each of us have the same type of sort of problems. So I think that's fundamentally what we're trying to advocate here. So this is another example of an umbrella and how it can really change context and really give it that sort of wow, because you just build in another layer of narrative, you just build in another story. Okay. So this is I'm just going to showcase a couple of projects that we've done to kind of demonstrate this. Recently, Book My Show came to us and said that we really, we've been around for almost 30, 40 years, and somewhere over the years we kind of lost. One, the brand doesn't look that cool. It doesn't address most of our problems, the kind of look and feel and all of that. But most importantly, we really need to engage tier 2 city, the youth in their tier 2 cities. Okay, that's number one. The number two was we really need to simplify the artifacts of the brand. Okay, however, you can't touch the website, okay, because the website is a very robust framework that we've already built. Okay, so whatever you do has to come in cosmetically over it. So this is the new rebranding. Some of you might have it on your phones. So this is, the idea was very simple, okay, but the reasoning why we did a lot of this would kind of show itself. So this was the earlier identity and this is the new identity. We really didn't want to change the recall that people had in terms of what this form factor was. However, we wanted to bring in a sort of narrative, we wanted to bring in a key value proposition that they have, which is the ticket, okay. But after that, we really kind of broke it down into, I think all of us sort of understand how a logo kind of has to be represented, because there is not just one way in which it is going to be produced, it is going to be produced in many different ways. Okay, plus it will have badges, especially in today's world where there are so many form factors in which an identity needs to present itself. Okay, you've got to bring in consistency. Okay, so the strategy really involved. So brands, in our view, are made up of only three things. It's the position that you want to hold in the mind of your consumer or customer or user, really. Number two is what is the promise that you're making through your product or service. Okay, I mean, what's your personality? Okay, people understand. I think Prashant just talked about it. People understand people. Okay, so when brands start talking like people, or they talk like different people at different times, okay, people don't understand them. Okay, so what is very important for us is the three P's, which is the promise, okay, which is the yeah. So it's basically the promise that you're making through your product. It's the positioning and it's the personality with which you talk. Okay. So and then of course we kind of have a lot of these collaborative sessions where we kind of define what the tone of voice should be. Why should it be that? what should the brand positioning be, what should the brand's personality be, okay, what should be the photography style, what kind of photographs, what sort of, why this particular shape. So each thing really has a rationale, okay. And then, of course, here we were dealing with a lot of content, so we deliberately used a more condensed typeface so that we were able to fit in more content in a smaller amount of real estate, translate it to its mobile app, its website, etc. Okay, and all of this had to be done with really without any downtime. So one of the key challenges in this project really was one, of course, the creation of the identity and how to simplify it, but most importantly, how do you actually juxtapose it with the existing ecosystem, okay, without any downtime. We had to just kind of so that was one of the interesting challenges, and then of course a lot of the marketing communication and things like that. Okay, so we believe that brands have to address these things holistically. Okay, now I'm going to show you another project which very was very unlikely in terms of a branding exercise, because this client came to us and said that I want to discourage people from coming to my resort for a short period of time. Okay, so these are companies funded by Food Fund. Okay, and they said I don't want 2 day, visitors. I want a week, 15 days. So help me incentivize this. So one of the first things that we did is we actually gave them this tagline, which is "Get Lost." Okay, so it's kind of it appeals to so it very clearly starts creating a divide. Okay, to some it's very intimidating, and to some it's extremely exciting. Okay, but what we didn't want to do is I'll give you a background about this company. They're basically a chain of around 10 resorts in the northern part of India, Uttaranchal, Himachal, and stuff like that. They have a very clear strategy. I need to be 8 to 10 hours from any big town like Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Bangalore. Okay, and they pick up these 4 to 10 room resorts. Okay, which are previously either rented or previously owned. Okay, and they actually just do them up very tastefully. Okay, and they came to us and they said, "This is how we need to redo redo these properties." Okay, so what we did is the first thing we wanted is, because these are 10 beautiful locations and hopefully one day going to be 40. Okay, we wanted to not give them one identity. Because then it's the same sort of experience every time you go there. Okay, so while we wanted to be the same, we didn't want to be the same. We wanted to be same with a difference. Okay, so what we've done is we've really given them a system of identities. Okay, some are photographic, some are illustrative, some are typographic, some are pictographic, and some are directional. Okay, we give them a very strong rationale on how to use this. Okay, this is some of the rest of the visual vocabulary that we created for them. Okay, but most importantly, this is what we did. We empathized with the consumer. Okay, we mapped out a journey. Okay, and we said, where now do we need one identity? Okay, and where do we need another? Okay, so this is the kind of array of identities that we gave them. Okay, so a lot of these locations would have the V, but in a different form factor because of the kind of location it is. Maybe it's historic, maybe it's very niche, maybe it's very modern. Oops. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Okay, so but what we did is every resort has a whole bunch of collateral that is done, like toiletries and your light and things like that. So what we did is we gave them an identity system for those touch points, okay, that the resort would offer. Okay, so that it becomes much scalable in terms of sourcing. Okay, so ultimately, what we landed up doing is really creating a very strong identity system. This is some of the collaterals that we have for it. So if you see, the identity keeps changing. It keeps changing in context. And what we've also done is really spend the least possible amount of money to actually do up the place. Okay, so we have these rocks, because these places we very come up with stories that 2 weeks back a leopard was spotted here, or this or that. So we kind of rented these stories. We've kind of anchored these stories into the landscape itself. So a lot of foraging, a lot of all of that. Yeah, so this is Okay, this is a completely different sort of a project. This is the last project I'm going to show you uh, for the paucity of time, but fairly interesting one. This client comes to us and he says, I've been able to sell certain amount of honey that I produce, which costs me almost 1,500 rupees a kilo to produce. Okay, but customers are not ready to pay pay even 700 bucks for it. You know, however, I'd like to actually be able to sell this honey for up to 75,000 bucks a kilo. Okay, so we actually landed up creating an entire ritual around the packaging, and we created a whole packaging system. Okay, where it's just about perception. It's just about how the product is packaged. Okay, and the ritual that actually goes into creating, into opening these bottles. Okay, so we actually categorize these into three categories of honey: Millefiori, Karakoram, and Jaktipa. Okay, which were depending on how rare they were. Okay, I'm actually going to show you one more project. Sorry. Okay, it's a recent. It's a
But next time you should get some honey water soda. This is the second
Definitely.
time mouth is watering.
This is actually something that's pretty close by now, and why I thought, because it's actually in everyone's public view. This is a project. It's a microbrewery called Dulani.
The honey, because honey comes from different flowers, so that's why the colors are different.
Yeah, and actually each year the honey can change color. Each year the honey can change color depending on the moisture level and what the bees were really doing, and whether it was the first plant that they. So we really built this the genuine story of how the honey really comes. And today it's actually being sold. I believe yesterday I spoke to the client. He said in 4 cases a day in the Burj Al Arab. So I mean, it's just about being genuine. When you're creating a brand, it's about really telling your unique story. Okay, and I think that applies for any brand, whether it's B2C, whether it's B2B. It's just about addressing it from the point of view of your consumer, your stakeholder. Okay, and talking about how genuine you've been in your efforts. Okay, it's not really that much. You don't have to come up with marketing ideas and things like that. If your story is unique, okay, and which every great idea can be, because uh, I don't think anyone does what the other person does because they can't do it. Being another individual, you look at problems in a different sort of way, and therefore that makes it by default individual. Okay, and therefore us being insecure that that company is doing this and that company is doing this, so I should also do this is actually the first wrong step when you're doing branding. Okay, and that's the advice that we've always given our clients. Let's understand what it is that you do. How do we make your story great? Okay, and I think once you understand that, we've always landed up creating brands that have been effective. Okay, but yeah. So around 2007, we created this brand. It's the first, actually the third microbrewery in the country. Okay, they've already made around 48 styles of beer. Okay, but this was a time when there was only probably Kingfisher and Foster's and stuff like that available in the market. Okay, which are really industrial beers and not craft beer. So India didn't really understand the craft beer as a concept. So obviously, what we did is we really borrowed from the legacy of beer, which is your European, German, English sort of identity, English sort of a reminiscence. Okay, so we created a coat of arms. The philosophy behind why this guy created beer is because he didn't want to make hospice. Okay, so what we symbolically represented it as is the horse, and many of you know warm beer is referred to as hospice when you're really done. So, we gave it a tagline which is Cogito ergo sit, which is a distortion of Rene Descartes' quote, Cogito ergo sum, which means I think, therefore I am. So this is translated to I think, therefore I drink. Okay, and we gave them this sort of drop cappy, elaborate Art Nouveau tea, very fancy, brought in all that, all the visual elements of what represents richness but yet this brand was always about the humor. It was always a thinking person's beer, and we wanted that person to be fun, happy about, So we had beers like Jobs 13 and Descartes and all sorts of beers. We celebrated how 1 is equal to 2. We had T-shirts like "Don't drink and derive," just clever sort of ways of looking at the same thing, not giving you the same smoking sign, but actually making it look, making it a little more interesting, changing the context. Created a lot of visual artifacts to do that. Instead of a menu, we gave them a newsletter which really educates people about what beer is as a category, and it's not just what you get. This is the kind of ambience that we created. Very taverny, very sort of rich. Okay, but what we realized is after that everyone's taking the same route. Anywhere you go, Bangalore, go to Delhi, go to anywhere. Okay, it is the same woody, sort of warm, almost taverny look. Okay, and we've done our job. We've really done our job in establishing Dulani as a sought after beer. Okay, it had increasingly rave reviews about what a good beer it is, what great beer they make, etc., etc., etc. So we said now is the time to actually create an Indian beer company. Okay, so what is this Indian beer company going to be? Beer has traditionally been a drink where people come and congregate and have a good time. Okay, now what about Indian beer does that? Okay, there's been no precedent really. Okay, so we said let's create a precedent. Okay, so we retracted the entire strategy. Okay, and we actually just simplified it down to this. Okay, we just made it very minimal. Okay, Dulani as a word actually comes from its English roots, which is going Dulali, which means going mad actually. And we just retain something that is at the core of the brand's philosophy. Okay, this is only said by word of mouth, so NCPS actually stands for Not Bodega Susu. Okay, this is actually a company promoted by Mahesh Murthy. He's basically from Seed Fund, and he also started the Channel B. He started Channel B. He's worked with a lot. He's worked with Arnav and all these guys a lot. So this is what we did for them. We removed as much as we could from the brand. Just created a very simple architecture for them. Okay, just created very. So this is. The tagline is giving great head since 2009. So we wanted to kind of have a very straight face, but bring in a layer of humor. The kind of copy that we do, the kind of illustrations that we do. Okay, and if any of you've been to the tap room in Bandra, you'd see that it's really not designed. There's nothing there except the furniture has plug points so that you can come and work there. Okay. We made sure that in the service, even if you go sit there and you don't ask for anything, no one comes to you, so that you can literally sit there for as long as you want. Okay, we want you to come and make presentations. Okay, so it's just, we boiled it down to this, and in fact, if you've been to the tap room, we did a little bit of an experiment for two reasons. Number one, we wanted to see how far you can push a brand, and number two, client didn't have funds. Okay, so we started the company without this sign. Okay, so actually, if you go there, there is no sign. Okay, there is no signboard. Okay, but interestingly, the place is always full. Okay, so we believe brands are great products. Okay, brands have personality. Okay, and I think as long as we focus our efforts on that. Okay, creating that unique, what makes you individual, what makes you different. I think for us, that's always been the mantra to doing any sort of branding. So thank you everyone for your time. Any questions?
Like when you're using someone, a famous personality, like Steve Jobs or someone else for that matter, does it have anything like? Is it possible for you to add some sort of trouble because you're using this invention?
Actually, if you're creating some sort of original artwork, I don't think there's really a problem. Okay, and we're really not referring to Steve Jobs. We never said we said Jobs 13. So there has to be a clever sort of interpretation so that we don't offend individual sensibilities. Okay, but yeah, there is a way around that. So you have to be clever about it. Sorry?
When you have to draw a line, I mean, it's a thin line. It's not
correct. And we don't give direct references to Steve Jobs. Nowhere have we said Steve Jobs. We just said Jobs 13, which is actually an excerpt from the Bible. So yeah.
The picture was very close.
That's okay. We do it.
You talked about branding and names.
Sorry?
You talked about branding and names of the company and all those things. I just want to know what is the theme behind Lemon Design? What is the lemon?
It's actually not a very interesting story. It's a very short story. I went to the ROC with the idea of calling our company Design Style, and it got rejected by the ROC. And that time we were just starting up, so I'd actually flown down from Bombay to Delhi, registering the company then, and the ROC rejects my application. I just spent a whole lot of money down here. My form rejected. So they said, yeah, either you come back in a different date or you just give us a different name of another form. And the first word that really came to my mind was lemon. So I put it there, and it was a very intuitive sort of a decision. It was youthful, it was a color, it was a flavor, it added sort of freshness to anything that you without really overpowering it. And I think that's the essence of what we've always wanted to do.
There's no other company with that name.
Fortunate for us, there was.
That's the most important in the,
Yeah, true.
That's true.
So yeah, we function from a very intuitive place. Okay, yes, we do research. We do a lot of rigorous hard work when it comes to actually unearthing things that where there is a gap. But we really believe that if you follow your gut, okay, invariably the answer is different. It's more interesting. So we have this sort of a dual practice in Lemon, okay, where we kind of one bunch really always works with their heart, really works with their mind, and then kind of come together and see who's got what.
I think that was excellent, and I think we all.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you, sir.